Lecture 5. In this lecture, let's talk about the impermanence of sentient beings. The impermanence of the body. The first moment when a sentient being is conceived in the womb due to karma and afflictions and grasps the father's essence and the mother's blood to give rise to a body with the power of mind is called birth. The birth here is not the moment of being born as we understand it. Instead, it refers to the moment of conception in the traditional sense. From the second moment of conception, the body goes through delivery, infancy, childhood, youth, and old age until the last moment of this life. This is called abiding, namely what we call being alive. In the end, the bardo body emerges and the mind separates from the body, which is called death or cessation. The body of sentient beings has 3 stages: birth, abiding, and cessation. Birth is caused by afflictions and karma. Abiding is the continuum of the body that hasn't stopped. Cessation is the end of the continuum, which ultimately ceases. During the abiding stage, controlled by the mind and due to afflictions such as greed, hatred, ignorance, doubt, and arrogance, various emotions such as joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness arise, and the body also undergoes various changes. As the saying goes, appearance arises from the mind. From a microscopic perspective, the body is composed of countless cells. The body's metabolism causes millions of cells to die and millions of new cells to be born every minute. From a macroscopic perspective, the body digests food, absorbs nutrients, and excretes waste, constantly metabolizing and maintaining itself. The body's various attributes, including its shape, skin color, temperature, function, weight, and volume, are also constantly changing. In short, the body of sentient beings is momentary and dependent arising. The appearance in each moment is completely different from the previous moment. However, due to ignorance, somehow we consider the body permanent. We've never thought about the impermanence of the body or the fact that the body is completely different from moment to moment. There is a story called An Ugly Girl's Transformation. It's recorded in the Sutra of the Wise and the Foolish, where Malika, the wife of King Prasenajit, gave birth to a daughter named Vajra, who was extremely ugly. She married a poor farmer because no one wanted to marry her due to her ugliness, even though she was the daughter of the king. The country was small at that time. However, Vajra had strong faith in Buddha and was full of sincerity. So Buddha appeared to her, and she focused single-pointedly and entered into concentration. Her concentration was good, and she was very devoted, so probably after looking at the Buddha for a long time, her appearance gradually changed and became very beautiful. Most people can't understand this, but it did happen. Probably this was also due to karmic causes from previous lives, not just in this life. While she was looking at the Buddha blessed her, and she became beautiful. While gazing at the Buddha's body, Vajra was overwhelmed with joy, and her whole body became beautiful. Her ugliness completely disappeared, and her beauty appeared. This is incredible, and most people wouldn't believe it, but as Buddhists, we are aware of it. Those who study diligently in our Dharma centers tend to see an improvement in their appearance. After 1, 2, or 3 years of studying here, many people tend to look younger. I will not give examples here. This is something that we are all clear about and can feel it. The impermanence of the mind. Based on the following passages, let's analyze the momentary nature of the mind. There are 2 reasons. Number 1, changing suddenly. Number 2, different causes and conditions give rise to different results. All the minds and mental factors of sentient beings in the 3 realms, which are included in mental phenomena, whether they give rise to a continuum of similarities, such as the meditative mind, or different types of distracted minds, such as the minds of the desire realm, are all arising and changing suddenly and quickly. Let's explain this passage. The minds and mental factors of sentient beings in the 3 realms can be classified into 2 categories: the continuums of similarities and the different types of distracted minds. When the minds remain similar for a period of time, it's called a continuum of similarities. The so-called different types refer to that the consecutive minds are of different types. For example, the mind in the desire realm changes rapidly. After joy comes depression. After tension comes relaxation. After greed comes anger, fluctuating quickly. These are different types of minds. Whether it is the same or different types of mind, when it reaches the critical point, it suddenly changes. In this regard, the sudden changes of different types of mind can be seen everywhere and are easy to understand. So, how does a continuum change suddenly? For example, the mind of a celestial being in the higher realms, the form realm, remains stable for a long time, but when his throwing karma is exhausted, he suddenly comes out of the meditative state. It's like when we are sleeping without dreaming and suddenly wake up. We don't know when or why we woke up. No one disturbed us. We just woke up. In common understanding, we had enough sleep. It's the same with meditation. He suddenly comes out of it. Before coming out of the meditative state, his mind was a continuum, stable without significant changes. But it was still arising and ceasing at moment by moment, rather than completely changeless. When his mind arises, he falls into the lower realm. This is because after coming out of the meditative state, his mind arises, so he falls into the desire realm. This is an example of sudden and rapid change. It changes according to the various factors of the four conditions, such as immediate condition and percept object condition. The four conditions refer to the four factors that give rise to the mind: immediate condition, percept object condition, dominant condition, and causal condition. Let's briefly explain these four conditions. Immediate condition refers to that the mind and mental factors arise one after another uninterruptedly. When the mind of the previous moment ceases, the mind of the next moment arises instantly. So the former one is the immediate condition of the latter one. However, there is an exception. The mind that arises right before an arhat enters the absorption of cessation, because after that moment the mind and mental factors no longer arise. There is no more mind, so it can't be established as immediate condition. Regarding ordinary beings, they can't enter the absorption of cessation, and their mind is still active, constantly arising, ceasing, and changing from moment to moment. So their mind and mental factors arise one after another uninterruptedly. This is called immediate condition. Percept object condition refers to the perceived object that causes the mind to generate an image of the object, such as a visible form, and a sound that give rise to a visual object and an auditory object respectively. The visible form and the sound are called percept object conditions. Dominant condition refers to the factors that can enhance the arising of the result. For example, the visual faculty can facilitate the arising of visual consciousness, so it's the dominant condition for generating visual consciousness. By inference, the five sense faculties are the dominant conditions for generating the five consciousnesses. Causal condition refers to the overall causes and conditions, including the above three conditions, as well as those not covered by them. For example, a greed that gives rise to hatred, a virtuous mind in the desire realm that gives rise to a meditative mind in the form realm, a thought about this mountain that gives rise to a thought about that mountain, etc., are all covered by causal conditions. The causal condition is also known as proximate condition or seed condition, as mentioned previously. The various types of living beings in the three realms, from birth to death, are arising and ceasing successively in every tiniest moment. The different types of beings in the desire realm, form realm, and formless realm, born from eggs, wombs, moisture, and transformation, with or without a form, with or without thoughts, etc., regardless of the type, have no eternal or temporary permanence. Instead, they are arising and changing successively, moment by moment. All things are changing or growing moment by moment. As the Heap of Jewels Sutra goes, the mind is like a flowing river that can't be stopped, like the light of a lamp that arises from causes and conditions, like a bolt of lightning that doesn't even abide in a moment. The Great Perfection of Wisdom treatise says, of all conditioned phenomena, the impermanence of the mind is the easiest to understand. After analysis, whether it is the senses, body, material world, mind, or mental factors, they are all ceasing moment by moment, like flowing water and flickering flame, without exception. The world of body and mind is like autumn clouds and lightning. In the billion-fold universe, impermanence is taught by the particles, moments, and blaze constantly, any time, anywhere. The nature's songs of impermanence are boundless. Due to ignorance and karma, the mind of ordinary beings are distorted. Because of the rapidly changing and complex causes and conditions in the universe, ordinary beings have a distorted perception that is contrary to the reality of conditioned things. Conditioned things are impermanent, suffering, selfless, and impure, but ordinary beings consider them permanent, joyful, self, and pure, completely opposite to reality, so they are distorted. This mental distortion is like an eye disease that causes one to see what is not there. Those with an eye disease may see an illusion that is not there. Attached to the distorted perceptions of permanence, joy, self, and purity, ordinary beings generate various afflictions, create various karma, and experience various sufferings, which is the origin of samsara. Conversely, if we can cultivate enough wisdom to eliminate these distorted perceptions, we can attain nirvana, namely, transcend samsara. Therefore, from now on, as ordinary beings, we shouldn't trust ourselves. We can't assume that something exists simply because we can see it, or doesn't exist because we don't see it. Ordinary beings' perceptions are totally unreliable. Instead, we should rely on the Buddha's teachings and the established principles through which the light of wisdom will emerge and grow. When learning the 4 Dharma seals, the first seal is to eradicate the attachment to permanence. The second seal is to eradicate the attachment to happiness, the suffering of change. And the 4th seal is to eradicate the attachment to self. By relying on the principles, we can eradicate our distorted perceptions and gain true wisdom. Okay, that's it for this lecture.